Hey guys, so I'm going to take you through some names that Aesop created for a project about graphic t-shirts, a graphic t-shirt business. For those of you who haven't seen it, you can check out our video on the discovery journey if you're interested in what language and words we use to get Aesop to generate these names. So if you want to hop over there and then hop on back, you might have a bit more context, but here we go. So start, I'm in my Aesop dashboard and I'm going to go down to my completed journeys and the results are ready. So first screen here, you'll just be reminded that you only need one great name for your offering, right? And just keep that in mind because different naming approaches, they tend to click with different people. And because we design Aesop to be really expansive in how it explores names that could best fit your offering, you will hopefully click with a bunch of these names, but also find some of them not really to your taste, right? And that's totally fine and to be expected because, again, at the end of the day, you just need one really great name that feels special and right for what you've made, and you can get it out there and market, right? So just a couple things to remember when we're going through the names, some good things to keep in mind right here. Sit with the unexpected. If something feels odd or offbeat, just give it a minute because sometimes those names have the most impact once you get over that immediate reaction of, oh, I didn't expect that to be here, right? Take your personal associations out of it. Names and especially new pieces of language sometimes make people think of things from their personal life, their neighbor, their dog's best friend, the thing they saw on the way to the bakery. But unless it's something you think most people will also think of when they see the name, push it aside in favor of things that are a bit more objective, like your business objectives or key insights about your target audience, right? Those are the lenses that we want to evaluate the names through. Do not expect the name to say it all. You gave a lot of great inputs into the discovery journey, and each name will activate some of them, but none will activate all of them. But don't worry about it because you're going to have a whole communication strategy surrounding this name to tell all your great stories. The name just needs to tell one, maybe two at most. And then remember, there's always a good URL, right? So digital realm is quite crowded nowadays, but there are such easy ways to find very productive workarounds for a name that you love. Peloton, amazing example. Their spin bike, everybody calls it a Peloton. The website is onepeloton.com, and the company name is actually Peloton Interactive. So it's not Peloton, but all of those names together really feel like a tight, cohesive, and engaging family. So that's it. So let's dive in and see the names. So first we have Blythe. So super interesting. This is a name that comes from an older English word about happiness and joy and merriment. It's a very emotional word and kind of has that upbeat feel of self-expression that was very inherent to these t-shirts that we were thinking of when we went through the discovery journey. And just a quick snapshot of what's going on your results screen. So here you have the name, the rationale. Here you have a great little post-it about kind of the bigger naming strategy that this name is speaking to. So here it's all about kind of inspiring language that foreshadows desirable experiences, right? So Blythe, very interesting language talking about feeling happy. That's the strategy behind the name, and then the narrative for the name is right beneath it. We also have a rating scale, so I'm going to give this a great. You could also give it a neutral or a not for me. And like we said, not all of the names are going to be for you, so that is all totally valid options. So I'm going to say great. And then last thing, if a name is completely out of left field and just feels totally unconnected to anything you said in your discovery journey, you can flag it as nonsensical right here, and the team at Aesop will have a look at what's going on. And then over here on the right, we'll hit next name. So now we have Scamp. So this is more personification, a free spirit, someone who isn't afraid to express themselves, a bit whimsical, one syllable, easy to remember, interesting letter combinations, feels very on point. Next, we have Livewire. So this is a term that's used to describe someone who's full of energy and enthusiasm, which were some of the mindset descriptors we used in the Aesop discovery journey. So this is a very interesting way of bringing that idea to life in this compound piece of language that feels really engaging. Next, we have flairist. So this is our first coined word. So the ist suffix, denotes a person with a specialized experience, or certain expertise in a specific area. In this case, bring in the flair, bring in the style, right? So you're personifying this t-shirt brand as being a connoisseur in helping people express themselves in a really cool and fun way. Next, we have forays. So, forays is a piece of language that talks about, adventure and journey and expeditions, right? And all of kind of the exciting things you're going to do when you're out in the world wearing this clothing. It turns something that's pretty ordinary, like a t-shirt, into something that's, attached to a bigger and more adventurous idea. For me, I think, though, I'm going to give it a neutral. I like it, but maybe not as much as some of the ones we've seen thus far. Next, we have finery. So very premium and luxurious, right? One of the valued outcomes of this t-shirt was that idea of premium fabric. So this is a nice way to express that, luxury and sophistication, something that's certainly unique and has a sense of craftsmanship to it. Next, we have Sunday Best. Love this name. Very cool. So Sunday Best is a slang term or a colloquialism for, your best threads, your finest duds, and you break them out on the days that you want to feel like you're looking really good. And that way the name's really conversational and really memorable. And that is going to earn it a great from me. Next, we have ensemble. So this speaks to the idea of togetherness, right? Bringing pieces of fabric together to create a really interesting t-shirt, bringing individual expressionism together to, create a more interesting society. And there's a lot of, emotional connectivity around this name. I think I'm also going to give this one a neutral. Next, we have motto. Love it. Straight, to the point, confident, strong. Definitely suggests, a way of expressing your beliefs, right? Your signature. How are you going to, what impression you're going to leave in the room? And I think that that's a really nice idea for a t-shirt brand to own, because it connects that kind of higher order place of self-expression. Next, we have thyself. So very different piece of language, right? Definitely from like an older time. But again, it brings it back to the person, right? It's, to thy own self be true. It speaks to personal authenticity and being honest about who you are and how you present yourself in the world. Next, we have originary. So really bringing that idea of kind of playful originality that we talked about in the discovery journey to the forefront here. Suggests something that's totally distinct, and that, you as the wearer of the t-shirt are kind of the originator or the creator of your own reality, and giving you that kind of control over your world. I think, though, for me, I might give it a not for me, just because I'm gravitating more towards the shorter single-syllable names personally. But originary definitely is probably something that could be a bit more ownable and available in markets. So these are all the things that you kind of want to weigh and consider in your mind when you're going through, your greats and your neutrals and your not for me's. Next, we have fabric. So this is another example of a coined name. Very interesting, because you're taking a piece of language that's super generic to the clothing space, right? All t-shirts have fabric, and you're putting this ownable twist on it that opens up the door for a lot of different kinds of storytelling around being phenomenal, or, being having your own take on what a t-shirt should look like and how it should be constructed and what it should do, and just putting your own tiny twist, signature twist on a category typical word. Give this one a neutral. So next we have verbalize. Very interesting. So definitely that idea of self-expression, right? And expressing yourself and who you are in a very bold and unafraid way through the t-shirts and clothes that you wear. Owning your aesthetic and expressing it loudly and proudly. Teed. Love it. Very direct. It's a great name for this offering because it's catchy, it's memorable, and because it's so short and compact, it gives it this edgy, modern vibe, which stands out in the market, but at the same time, it's so closely connected to you know, the definition of the offering, that it feels very transparent yet unexpected. Next, we have depicture. So depicture, it comes from the idea of depict, right? So expressing an idea or a thought or your own personality through what you wear. Definitely an interesting story to tell. Although I think I'm having a little bit of a hard time with the pronunciation, so I'm going to give it a nod for me. Next, we have brainstorm. So this is an amazing an amazing way to speak about creativity, right? You wouldn't expect, use the name brainstorm or the piece of language brainstorm more in almost a corporate environment, an office environment, the context of coming together and solving a problem, maybe an educational environment. So by applying it in the fashion and clothing category, it really stands out as unique, even though it's a piece of language that people have encountered elsewhere, probably quite often in their life. So it gives it a sense of approachability. And I love the idea that that's a way to, signify the idea of creativity and energy in a way that's super memorable. Next, we have brink. This is an excellent name for the offering because it evokes a sense of daring and originality, speaking to the idea of cutting edge fashion or kind of cutting edge adventures and standing out the crowd in this really precise and bold way. Next, we have yellow crayon, super metaphorical. Definitely into it. So yellow is a color that, when you're thinking about color theory, connects to ideas around optimism and happiness and hope and positivity, right? Which are all great characteristics to associate with your brand and with the experience of wearing your t-shirt. And a crayon is a nice metaphor for, artistic design and kind of those graphics that are going to be very central to how the t-shirt looks. There's also a bit of like a childlike sensibility here that makes me think of imagination and kind of connecting with that inner child and the fun that you used to have when you were, getting dressed up as a kid. Next, we have boldness. So more literal when you're speaking to the idea of, confidence and outgoingness and expressing your style, but really just putting it out there and saying it like it is to the market. This is what we believe as, a t-shirt company, that people should be brave and proud of who they are. And we're brave and proud of who we are. And we express that through our designs and our choices of premium fabric. Next, we have shapesmith. Very interesting piece of language. It comes from the idea. So a smith, that suffix, is associated with the creator of something. So, a goldsmith works with gold, a wordsmith works with words, right? So here we're saying a shapesmith, they work with these different shapes and depictions to create really interesting graphics for this particular line of t-shirts. As such, you're kind of personifying again the line of t-shirts as someone who's really artistic and really proficient and has a lot of experience, and therefore will deliver really interesting and standout designs. Next, we have serif. So here again, a metaphor for, a bit of adornment, right? So a serif on a typeface is those little lines or those little features that give it, a bit more of a presence, right? As opposed to a sans serif, which is kind of more straight and clean lined. So serif here acts as a metaphor for, strokes of originality, strokes of creativity, visible design, right? These t-shirts aren't minimalist like a sans serif. They have adornment and color and design to them, right? Like a serif font. So you're taking a word that's like super out of context, I guess, because serifs are related to typefaces, and applying it within, again, the clothing and apparel space in a way that makes it really stand out and but at the same time tells a really relevant story. Next, we have spool. So this is a cool piece of language because, a spool is related to the idea of sewing and thread work, right? Which is a central thing that goes on within the world of t-shirts, right? But it also has this other layer of communication about, unraveling a story, right? Or, threading together different pieces of your personality to express yourself in this totally unique way. It's active, it's playful, it's creative, it has all of this kind of interesting sensibility to it while having that really tight category connection. Next, we have funky attire. So, as we said, Aesop explores a wide range of names, and this would be a name that is putting a fresh spin on basically talking about the category. So here, a t-shirt brand is a clothing brand, a brand of attire, but this particular brand of t-shirts prides itself on being cool and unique and a bit offbeat, right? So the piece of funky, that piece of language kind of signifies all of that freshness and that excitement, and combining it with attire grounds you very transparently in the clothing category. And then lastly, I believe we have sewable. So this is another coined piece of language, right? Again, taking ownership of a word that's close to category, this idea of sewing, and, speaking to, proficiency and the idea of being able to create really unique designs and, sew together really interesting garments as a result of your creative eye and your technical proficiencies. And that's it. So then you can just hit view summary in the corner here and you'll get to your summary page. So this page shows you all of your names in ranked order. So you have your greats on top and then your neutrals in the middle and then your not quite for me's on the bottom there. And you can click into any one of them and they will reiterate that rationale that was shown on the results page. And if one of them happens to be your favorite, let's say you really like Brink, you can mark it as your favorite and then it will be the list will be reorganized with Brink on the top, just so you can keep track of what you're gravitating towards the most at any given time. And then real quick before we go, 2 buttons here on top. If you click view presentation, it'll take you back into that results presentation with the names shown on each of their own individual naming slides. And as you can see, this was 24 of what was 96 names generated by Aesop for this particular project. So if you want to buy more names, you just click the buy more names button. And as you can see, you have 72 left, right? So you'll have the choice here, which is a very cool feature. You can either use your current responses that you entered into the Discovery Journey and just see some of those other 72 remaining names, or you can take the opportunity to modify your responses. So if you're thinking about, oh, what if I had selected, a different valued outcome or, assigned a different engagement characteristic, what would that have done for the names? Now's your opportunity to go back and make those changes, and for no change in price. The Aesop will rerun the Discovery Journey and show you the kinds of names that would have resulted from those modified responses. And that's it. So we hope you enjoyed the names and the journey of going through the naming presentations. I love this stuff. I love looking at names and rationales. I just think it's such an interesting and creative thing to explore. So I hope you do too. And Aesop is here to help you name whatever you need for your commercial purposes. So check us out at namesbyaesop.com. Thanks so much.